Mr. Nasser Boladai, who is member of the Congress of Nationalities for the Federal Iran.
First of all, I thank you for organizing this event. And, but of course, as was mentioned, the name is Congress of Nationalities for the Federal Iran. I am a member of the Central Committee of the International Committee of the organization. And as I was coming here for this meeting, there was one of my colleagues asked me a question, and actually it was also kind of political and philosophical. She was asking why you want federalism for Iran. Does it solve the human right problem? Is it based on the human right that you want Iran to be a federal country? Or is it because most of Iranian group or political organization, often when they say about Iran, the first line for them would read territorial integrity of Iran? Is it for that reason you want federal Iran and not self-determination or a complete secession from Iran? So no, we want territorial integrity for Iran, but mostly because we want to have a peaceful coexistence between people that are living today in Iran, and to continue this. And as we see, Iran is a very centralized government, and some of the most kind of uprising or kind of violent action against the government or government action against its own people has been in those regions that are dominated by the national group, like Arab Ahwazi, Kurdish region, and Baloch region. We as a Baloch have many times have been in the last, actually could say the modern Iran that was came from after Reza Shah, had many uprising, and each time it has been suppressed. And each time the demands have been for Baloch right. Of course, here we have to say that in sometimes also the Baloch wanted to secede from Iran because they did not show any kind of connection with other people in Iran, because they didn't got any kind of support. They did not get any kind of recognition by other political parties or other political entities in Iran to say that, well, of course, you have some problems in Iran, and those problems should be solved within the framework of Iran. They did not show that. But I think today, we see the situation, there is kind of, across the board, there is suppression against all people in Iran. And of course, we would like to say, and I think it is documented and everybody knows, that the suppression in the minority regions or national group region is much more severe. But still, nonetheless, this kind of oppression against the people in Iran, it is all aware, and we all share the same aspiration to have a democratic Iran, a country where the people are respected, not based on their language or gender as it is in Iran today. Iranian constitution today directly says you have to be a man to be counted as a human, and directly says that you have to be Shia Muslim or a Shia Muslim of this Jafari sect, then you are a complete Iranian. Otherwise, there are so many hurdles put in front of you that you cannot feel that you can succeed in this society. And as we are here also in this Human Rights Council, and you can see the people that they also mark themselves that physically they want to have this, their own kind of clothes also, and they want to have to show their beard also, that they are also different from the rest of the Iranian people who just want to have their own way of life. And so this is kind of marking. And federalism for us, it is because in Iran, some people would say that, for instance, Khamenei is a Turk. So that Iran is not based on the Persian or Farsi groups or those. Of course, here also we have some kind of problem. Some people say, well, we are not Persian, we are Iranian. And then when we say we are Baloch and we are Iranian. So there is some kind of comment also. Maybe we'll come later here also. But the thing is that if you are a Baloch or you are an Arab, you are a Turkmen, you are excluded from the power and representation. Of course, we have the representation in Iranian parliament, but those representations are not based on the kind of representation that would represent Baloch as a nation or as a group or as a collective right. They can demand some kind of right for the Baloch people in this Iranian parliament. And of course, the regime has changed the border also in a way that creating different provinces in Iran to make sure, for instance, the Kurdish region is divided between two Azerbaijan, Sharqi and Gharbi, and Iran also, and Kurdistan also, and also Azerbaijan is also divided into those kind of provinces. The same goes for the Baloch area, to the Kerman province, to the Balochistán province, and Hormuzgan province, to make sure that they are not fully represented in the parliament. As far as I can know, I maybe do not have correct information about others, but I know that no Baloch has become provincial governor in Balochistan. While this is the Baloch migrants that have migrated since the Reza Shah to the Arab Gulf country, we have minister, for instance, now in Bahrain, first woman minister in Bahrain is Baloch. And actually her family name is also Baloch, and she came from the same village that I come from. But in Iran, we never had any Baloch becoming governor. The minister is impossible in Iran for a Baloch to become. And another thing is the sharing of the power. Of course, representation we have nothing, but also in the power sharing, as I said, there is no Baloch in the power, and there is no. There has been some elements, some personality from the Turks, from the Arabs, and the loyal from the Kurdish region also. But they never have been in a kind of representing their own people in a way that they can demand power sharing, in a way that they say, well, if you are sending 100 ambassadors to the different countries, at least 3 or 4% of them should be from the Kurds. So here we have also, the ministers are not also, if you have a federal country, you make sure either with the Senate or in the government itself, you make sure that different regions are represented in the government. But in Iran, they never take care of this. Not during the Shahs, not during this current regime. And always they have emphasized that Iran is a country where, for instance, the day before yesterday, Antonia, from representing Amnesty International, she had 2 quotes from the Iranian recent leaders, Pahlavi, who said that Iran is a continuation of the Persian Empire. To be Iranian is meaning to be a Persian. And Khomeini, of course, being an Islamic, he said that Iran is an Islamic nation. And you see this kind of correlation. Iran is a nation. When you say it's a nation, and he said, well, we cannot change this nation to be any kind of cultural or any kind of religious differences are not accepted because it is a country of the Muslim. And as you know, Iran is not all of Iranians are Islamic, Muslim, and not Iranian are also Shia Islam, and not Iranian are not Persian. This way, I think this diversity in Iran, as was spoken here and also, should be somehow shown in the Iranian state. And here we think that a federal system for Iran is best suited. As we can see, Iran is a diverse country. Today we had about the religious minorities, the session there, and there was just only in the Kurdish region, therefore so many different religious groups, from Yarsan to Sunnis to Shias and to Yazidi or Yazdani, and of course there has been a Jewish minority in the Kurdish region. I'm not sure if they are represented still exist in the Kurdish region, and there are also Christian minorities there. So it is very country where you cannot, in a way, say that Iran is a Persian country. Just using Iran to be a Persian country means that you always going to have some kind of trouble within the country. Somehow, some kind of clash of different religious groups, different national groups. And federalism can solve some of those problems for Iran. And as I was talking here about the language also. The language problem in Iran is that still the government has been lost 100 years through the education, using the Persian Farsi as only medium of education. Try to somehow Persianize Iran, but still it does not have succeeded. You have to, in Iran also, they have made sure that people speak as they think the best dialect of the Persian. If you are, for instance, Arab or Baloch or somebody else that do not have the right dialect, they will make fun of you. But still, after, people's identities just doesn't go away, especially in the modern time. Iran tried to copy the French way of, they said that maybe in 200 years the French may change, all the languages became French in France, but it was different time. It was in a different setting and a different kind of situation. They always have talked about that one, that if you read the Iranian literature from those times, they would say everything would change within the time. Everybody would become Persian because you see that they write the history like that also. But you see, those people still have kept the language at home, And they have tried to keep it at the low, and they say that 70% of the students that start school are not Persian. And here it's also a human rights situation, because children that are, I myself, when I started the school, I didn't spoke the word Persian at the time. And I know I have been beaten because of that. I tried to escape from the school. For the first 6 months, it was always I tried, when teachers started speaking, sometimes I just ran away from them. And then sent somebody to get me back to the school. And this has happened to many other children in Iran, because you do not understand what the teacher is saying. And you are afraid of seeing somebody who's just sitting there and shouting, and you do not understand what to do and how to behave. Federalism also, when we talk about federal in Iran, it is not sometimes people say, well, we have the federal state in the US. There you do not have this demand that you should have your own language. There everybody speaks English. But Iran is being a diverse society, linguistically. Federalism should take the shape that we have here in Switzerland or some other countries like India. We have different systems. For instance, in India, being taught in mother language is some kind of guaranteed in the Indian constitution. You have to start in your own mother language, and then you have to learn also in the way that you finish your school. In the first 12 years, you have command of 3 languages: your mother language, Hindi, and English. And I think it is not bad for India to have 3 languages when you finish 12 years. While in Iran, it's only Persian. In Iran, we could have also learned from the Indian example or from Swiss example, and make sure that people's mother language is safeguarded, and at the same time they can learn a language that is could be common for our country, and also an international language, because we have to also have some kind of connection with the international community.